All right, welcome into another edition of the Field of 68 NBA Draft Profiles. And this one's fun for me because the guy I'm talking to, I've known since he was a kid, and that is now New Zealand Breakers owner and CEO, Matt Walsh. Matt, how are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's a long time catch up coming here. So this is exciting
Long
for me
time.
too.
Listen, we were talking before this of my love of you and your teammates at Germantown Academy when I first got into this business, because you guys played the right way, and it's good to see you mature and grow into a business world and owning the Breakers and running the Breakers, and you've got a really good young player again. I mean, listen, what you've done over the last 4 or 5 years has been remarkable. You've got guys, LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, Josh Giddey, Usman Jang. You've got a lot of good players, and you got another one here. Tell us about your latest kind of protege here with the Breakers and what he's all about.
Yeah, it's been fun. I think it's favorite part of my job with the Breakers is getting to work with these young guys, like knowing that I went through like some of what they're going to go through and what they have in front of them. It's when you get a really good kid that's exciting. And Rayan was amazing. Honestly, it was the easiest recruitment with him because he saw what Usman did the year before. He was close with him. Our head coach went and met with him, laid out how we envisioned him playing for us. And it was pretty easy. And everything we had heard about Rayan was that he's this Kobe Bryant type worker. Like, you're not going to believe it. And, you think some of that's bullshit. You're like, oh, of course he's going to get here. Man, like, if every NBA team that calls, I just say, I know this is hard to believe. The hardest worker you're going to have is, if you draft this guy, is going to be Rayan. It
Really?
just is. He's the hardest working player we've ever had, not young player, the hardest working guy. First one in the gym, last to leave. He's got like a pretty cool backstory, a little bit tragic. Like his dad, who played professionally, passed away 8 or 9 years ago. And he's kind of like took on this dedication in his life to like fulfill this dream. Awesome family. Mom's amazing. He's really good, man. In terms of how I envision him moving forward and like him compared to other guys, I think Usman was the 11th pick. He had some moments his freshman year. Absolutely amazing. RJ was a super athlete. In terms of our guys that we've had, I think he's the most surefire NBA pro because he's 6'7", he's 7'3", and he defends his ass off. So you look at like even the trade deadline this last year, everyone wants a wing who can defend and make shots. Now, Rayan struggled a little bit shooting with us this year. I think a lot of that was he broke his wrist halfway through the year, and he had every chance to just go back to France and prepare for the draft. And he busted his ass, came back, got better with his left. So when he came back, he struggled some shooting. But when you look at his release, he's got a high release. The guy who I compare him most to is like a Mikal Bridges type. Like, I think that's his future. You look at same body type. Coming into the league, Mikal Bridges was known as like a 3-and-D guy, and he's developed. And I think when you look at Rayan 7 years from now, that's how much older Mikal is than Rayan, I have a very hard time envisioning him not being that level of player, just because I know he's going to work. He's got the physical tools. And, he started for us. We were 5 minutes away from winning a championship in game 5 of our NBA. We went to the limit. He started for us, was a big reason for that. And he was our primary defender on all the best players. All the guys in our league, all the imports are former NBA players. And he was a big, he can block shots. He defends, point of ball attack. He's going to switch 1 through 4, certain lineups 1 through 5. So I'm really high on him because I look at his downside, and I think his downside is a premier 3-and-D guy. So if you're drafting in the top 15,
Everybody wants those, Matt. Everybody wants them.
Everybody wants it, and I think the detractors would say, oh, well, he shot 30% from 3. Yeah. And I would say he's 18. He's playing against men for the first time. Look at the way he shoots. He's got a beautiful shot. He broke his wrist halfway through our year. He's going to be a 40% catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He
works his ass off because, again,
that's right.
You know better than most, if you work at it, you can become a really good shooter. Like that's one skill that if you're in the gym all the time, which it sounds like this kid, it's hard to keep him out of the gym. He's going to get better in that area. It's hard to improve your IQ, your decision-making, your ball handling even. But shooting is the one thing that you can improve.
It's work. And look, if your shot is totally broken, maybe teams go, oh, a few years, it's going to take time. He's got a beautiful shot. He's going to put the time in. And I tell this story to all the NBA teams. So I tell them 2 stories now. Like, we lost in Sydney, game 5. We were up 5, 7 minutes left. Final game. We lose that final game on Wednesday night. We fly back Thursday. Friday morning, I go in at 8 a.m. to meet with our coach just because we want to kind of like take a breath and debrief. And Rayan and one of our assistant coaches are like an hour into a workout. This is an 18-year-old kid that just went through his first pro season. Yeah. And I said to our coach, I was like, "Is this bullshit? Like, is this just because like
is he a fraud?" Like, right.
He's like, Matt, he's the only guy who I can say works harder than like me in terms of time. Head coaches put in so much time. He's like, he's here all the time. He puts in the time. And just to give like an idea of how good of a kid he is, my son's 11. We went over for the finals. He spent, obviously my son's looking at him with like, like this is a future NBA player. So they became buddies. My son had a tournament, an AU tournament in Dallas this last weekend where Ryan's doing his pre-draft camp. Ryan showed up for his game. Saturday afternoon, awesome. Rayan comes, just sits in the stands, after daps up my son, gives him a hug. Like he was leaving for Chicago on Sunday for the pre-draft. And he comes Saturday to come and see my son, hang out for an hour. I think he's a special kid. I think he's going to be a special player. And I think whoever gets him is going to be shocked. Like, I think they're going to think, oh, we're getting a 3-and-D type player. And when he comes in and the way he works, and because he just lives, breathes basketball, like a year from now, they're going to be like, oh my God, you got him at 11 or you got him at 12, whatever it is. They're going to be like, how did you get this guy? Because his physical tools are insane. Yeah. Certain players, Jeff, you would know this, like they walk by you and you're like, oh my God, that's an NBA player. Yeah. Like me and Modi sitting in the airport, our coach, he would like walk through with the team and we would be like, all you have to do is look, and that's the guy, the way, his arms come down, the way his shoulders are. He's just an NBA player, and he's special kid, special talent. So I'm very excited for, what he has coming up.
Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks.
So do you envision, again, you said kind of, Bridges in terms of, maybe his ceiling. Is he a guy that you envision, again, in 3-5 years, you can put the ball in his hands and say, go make a play? Because that's kind of what Bridges has become in the NBA, but it took him, time at Villanova and certainly some time in the NBA to get there.
Yeah, it's taken some time. And that's the leap that Rayan will have to make. Right now at the NBA level, you can't give him the ball in the wing and say, go get a bucket. Nothing. And the reality is, as you would know, again, Jeff, there's not a lot of guys in the NBA that you can do that to. And that's why I think Rayan is such a safe, he's 18, he's going to be 19 at the time of the draft, is such a safe pick that if he only ever developed his shooting to 40%, the way he defends, he's an elite 3-and-D player. So everyone wants that. But if he can develop his pull-up is beautiful. He's going to be able to pull up over everyone, 7'3" wingspan. Yeah. He can get to the rim, finish with both hands. So I just have an impossible time believing in 5 years, the way he works, he's not a guy that can be your second or third best player on a championship team. Because nowadays you need
character. It sounds like
high IQ,
like teammate,
high character.
Yeah, all that. So what's your hole with him? Is there one, other than the fact that he didn't shoot it well this year? But again, you said you're not worried about that because his form's there, his work ethic's there. So it sounds like you don't have as many questions with this kid as you probably did with the four guys who preceded him, even with the breakers, like LaMelo, super talented. We know that. Exceptional talent. But when you got him, and I know this from experience, you needed to kind of reprogram him a little bit. He had a lot of bad habits getting there, whether it was defense, whatever. RJ Hampton was raw. It sounds like, again, this kid, you know what he can give you today on the defensive end. What do you worry about with him?
Yeah, that's right. And that's why I think he's the safest pick. You look at the guy we had the year before, Ousmane Dieng, the 11th pick, who also broke his wrist in the NBA this preseason. But final game of the regular season, he had 22, 9, and 8. From an offensive skill talent standpoint, he was far superior than Rayan, just from like the vision and those kind of things from where he was at his stage of development. Now, the thing also that Rayan missed, if you look at all of the next stars, Ousmane, Giddey, LaMelo, the second half of their NBL season, RJ, they took a big leap because they started to figure out what it meant playing against men, what kind of speed you had to move with. Rayan missed 16 games or something like that with a broken wrist. So he didn't get that huge jump on the offensive side of the ball. But again, I'll say he had every chance to just go back to France and when coach talked to him, he was like, are you crazy? Like, I'm part of this team. He's like, I'll be back as soon as I possibly can.
Could have protected his draft stock.
Yeah, he could have protected, and it was never a conversation. So I think the real downside of Rayan, if you want to find one, is just he never develops into being like a go-to guy offensively. And he's a guy, but he's already going to be a guy that can make a shot and can attack a closeout. So if he just develops those two things more and stays at the level defender, he's a guy every team wants. Yeah. So that's why I say of all the guys, he doesn't have the upside of LaMelo Ball.
Sure.
He just doesn't. LaMelo Ball is a ball guard.
Well, how many guys do? How many guys do at that size and what LaMelo could do? Listen, I always said this. Like his vision, his skill set was so ridiculous, LaMelo's. And when he grew, it became even a higher level, right? When I first met him, in full disclosure, I was in the backyard with him and ripping on him because he couldn't dunk the ball one of the first times. So he grew and again, it just sounds like this kid already has the intangibles that and the work ethic and the right way to approach the game that frankly LaMelo had to learn. He had to learn that.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, like the LaMelos, the Giddies, these guys are the best players in the NBA. Now Rayan could develop into a guy who's on that tier through a different way. But he's not a ball guard. So he's not a guy you draft and you say, okay, in 2 years, I can see this guy leading our team. He's a guy that, again, I think his floor is so high. He's going to be an elite 3-and-D guy. So if you're getting that with the 8th pick or the 12th pick, that's what you're getting. But it has a chance to develop into Mikal Bridges. For me, it's a no-brainer. That's why I see him going in the lottery. I know he's projected anywhere from 8 to 20, that kind of range. I think he's going to be a lottery pick because, again, when you watch him work out, you're blown away. You're just totally blown away. And the other thing is the big difference. He was playing for a team that was competing for a championship in one of the best leagues in the world outside of the NBA. We couldn't hand him the keys. Right. So a lot of the stuff he can do offensively, he didn't have that opportunity with us. We weren't running a lot of pick and rolls for him. We weren't running a lot of ISOs because, quite frankly, in our league, it's the 28 to 32-year-old guys that are carrying your team to a championship, and every import is a former NBA player. I think teams are going to, when they see him work out, they're going to be like, oh, he does have that ability. He does have that in his game. So it's exciting. And again, his floor is just so high because of his physical tools.
Listen, this was fun. This was a long time coming. Matt Walsh, CEO of the New Zealand Breakers, talking about Rayan Rupert, one of, you could tell. Listen, I can tell by listening to you how much you like him. Sometimes you're not sure, but the emotion that you speak with, you could tell how much you like him as a kid, as a player, how much you believe in him, both.
Well, this is the thing. Like, we're going to have another next star next year. So if I tell every NBA team that I love this next star so much and he's the future of your franchise, they're going to roll their eyes. They're never going to call me again. They're not going to trust me when I say, he's worth the pick. And I've given my honest assessment of every single guy we've ever had. This is who Rayan is. Amazing person, incredible work ethic. and the physical tools to be an elite NBA player. And that's what I tell teams. At the end of the day, they're going to do their own evaluations, but I always give my honest evaluation for myself, because I want next year when we have another player, when we play NBA preseason, I want them to say, Matt, tell us about this guy. And I want my word to mean something with those guys.
Well, if Rayan can be the shooter that Matt Walsh was back in, in the Florida Gator days or the Germantown Academy days, he'll have a pretty good future. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.